Honey,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain. I'm super excited to be here. Congratulations on your mama. Happy birthday to your mama.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a blessing to have her with us here at home and celebrate her.
She looks so young.
Yes. Yeah, that's my mama. She's 71.
Does she live here in the States?
Right now, she lives with my sister in Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
But they're moving back home, my mom and my dad, to Costa Rica.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's where she resided because she looks so youthful. Like I was like 71 where?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does
No,
she practice? Does she practice Ayurvedic or like?
Um, yes, they do. And by nature, her and my dad are, I guess that's where I get a lot of it also from. They're very, they're holistic. My dad used to wake us up with all kinds of juices every day with um, um, carrots and beets every day and orange juice. So that was my dad. He used to plant all his stuff and yeah, all his food. So I guess that's where I get it from too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you say that that has influenced you to go or to have a, your hands-on food because you're really passionate about it. I didn't even honestly like when we had our meeting, you were showing me so much about my physical body and how to prepare for birth, that I didn't really pay attention to the food portion. Outside of that, when we first met, I was really excited about you practicing Ayurvedic food traditions and interested in working together. So I was more excited about working with you, period, when it came to just food, because Ayurvedic is something that I'm very fond of, and I want to dive deeper into because if I am not correct, if I'm not incorrect, it has to do with the elements.
Exactly. Yes.
And so it makes sense. It just makes so much sense. And so when you shared with me about you know that being your practice and being your practice for so long, and how you're weaving it with doula work, or you're making it accessible also
Mhm.
to people, I was like, okay, she's onto something. But I didn't know that the Ayurveda thing was a like when you came in with all that food the day I gave birth, the after, I was like, oh my goodness, and it was so delicious and so replenishing, and everything it gave me exactly what I needed, especially when you gave me like the sweet stuff, which was like, I was like, this is good for me. I can eat this, and you were like, you need this, and it helped produce more milk. Like, I'm really grateful for that. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself with that journey, and also like the term Ayurveda.
Right. Um, so starting with I came across Ayurveda probably about 15 years ago um, because I was looking to heal myself, to heal my body. I had a preschool, which I ran for 14 years, Little Cricket Academy. And I was getting sick. I was getting, eating the foods from Costa Rica, and I came here when I was 17. So the food was
Drastically
pretty
different.
much kind of like a shock, and so I decided, okay, I know that there is healing in food, which it's basically how I grew up, eating, thinking that food is it's medicine, and now I see it, now I recognize it, and
You
I'm
remembered,
for
came back to you.
that. Yeah, and I'm grateful to my dad for that, and my mom. But so I started researching how can I eat better? How can I heal my body? And I was in yoga practice, and so I came across Ayurveda through um, I'm forgetting his name right now. It's a famous doctor. So I said, wow, this is great. So I started researching, thinking that I was going to get some healthy recipes, and I came across this amazing way of life. It's a science, That's what Ayurveda means. It's the science of life, of this the science of the study of life. in its full consciousness, which, you said something before, which is, you didn't know that the food also, and not just in Ayurveda, which I'm learning also with all our traditions, from the South to all the way to India. Um, it's healing through your five senses, and so one of our senses is our taste. How we're going to eat our food, and not just eat it, and how we digest it too. So that's was my journey starting here in the United States. I became a vegetarian for 14 years, and yeah, so that's and then I came across my amazing doctor Naina Marvali, who I'm so thankful for, and so studying through her, understanding my body, and understanding that food, it's also um, it's it's made with all the elements, from the earth, that we are made of. So that's how we can also see our foods, our medicines. And so we can elaborate maybe a little bit more on that in a little bit. But that was my journey coming into Ayurveda, which brought me to understand a lot of my roots and what I already had in me. So like you say, remembering. So I'm grateful for, that way of life that brought me back into, all the understandings that we can, all of us have all of that within us. So, yeah.
I
And
love how. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, and you said about Ayurveda. I said, wow, I can do this with the mamas too. And so I came across somebody that told me, oh, this is called Ayurveda, and I didn't even know about that. And then so I researched, and I also went and did my certification with my Ayurveda.
I love this. I love how organic your journey is, and in the process of healing, you return to culture,
Hmm.
which is what one of our elders would say. Your healing is in your culture. I believe it's in Fundishi. He would say something like that. Your healing is in your culture. Or Queen Afua, one of our elders and mentors, who also advocate for like nutritional wellness foods. And I love that your journey kind of got a little political. Like you knew once you got here, you noticed the difference. Because my cousins from Dominican Republic, when they come here, they're like, "Yo, your food tastes like nothing."
Hmm.
He's like, "It tastes like trash," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Everything is so stale here," and oftentimes we think that we're well off, and in many cases, in so many cases, I'm so grateful we are. But when it comes to access to food, here it's like food is a battlefield, and so it's wonderful to hear that somebody like you who could have just continued your journey with not healing yourself, you okay, let me just read what somebody said. I recently became a vegetarian in prep for the moon dance and decided that this is a lifetime want to keep learning from. I'm definitely learning and feel that I feel a lot healthier. Yeah, because once you start to eliminate flesh from the body, you're eliminating basically literally dead weight from your body. You give your reproductive system to recharge itself because it doesn't have that much food to digest. And so, um, speaking of vegetarian, when you were vegetarian, what did you consume? Like, what I meant to say, what meat did you consume? Like, what dairy products, like, or were you a pescatarian? People say vegetarian. We want to know what meats or what foods that you avoid.
Yeah, so for me, it was a journey mostly in the beginning, eliminating everything to see what was causing me to, get sick, my immune system. So I started I eliminated all meat, including fish. I did not eat any fish. Um, and then after about a year, so I was drinking almond milk, and so as I kept learning with Ayurveda, and my constitution, because that also has a lot to do with how you can eat and what you can eat, and how your body is going to digest all of that. So like cooking lentils. you have to soak them for many hours, from 4 hours to 24 hours, to start breaking down the enzymes, because otherwise it's going to cause gas. And then if you're eating a lot of vegetables, um, not so well cooked, then that is going to increase your air in your body, which is going to, and that's another, that's your vata in your body, which is the air and space. So you can increase, um, the an illness, or you can increase feeling weak, by the way you cook your food too. So I was learning how to cook my food, and then I was eating, once in a while I would eat eggs, because if I that's my constitution was, I needed more protein. I needed more of that. And then, sometimes it depending on the weather too. If you drink a lot of coconut water, milk, it's gonna make
Yeah.
your body cold inside. So, and then I started learning about, fish, and so I started eating fish. And then I got really sick, because I do want to say, it is, you're so right when you said it's a way of life being a vegetarian,
Yeah.
because you do have to have the right amounts of protein, the right amounts of vitamins, and if you're going to do it all natural like that, because our bodies are constantly reproducing, and our cells are, need all of that. That, let's say, somebody that eats meat or other food will provide. So you do have to do a lot of research, and so I actually started, with my way of life now, with my, um, Native American indigenous way of life, also, understanding how, from, let's say, the Wirarika people, how they eat meat, and how they, how we pray to it, and how, yeah. So that's actually a little bit of a deeper, conversation with the meat. But and then also, some people are allergic to milk, but we can boil it 3 times and put a little bit of ginger in it, and it just breaks down the enzymes, and it's really healthy for you. Uh, and then the ghee, you know how I am with my ghee, because it is an amazing medicine. It's a golden, medicine, that goes through your body, and it cleanses, and it takes toxins out, because it's like a magnet. But yeah.
So you're saying when you were vegetarian, you practically omitted all animal products, and then when you started to educate yourself, you stepped into a more relate. You said you went back to consuming some animal product, but with a relationship of integrity and medicinally.
Right.
So the
Exactly.
milk, you had a strategy for it. The ghee is also a strategy, because ghee is melted down butter.
Yeah, it's cooked down until all the fat, comes out, and then, you're just left the with the liquidy, fat.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing something like that now. I don't know what it's, I can't recall what it's called, but they're tallow. They're using it on their skin, on their food, like they're frying food or they're cooking with it. So that there's a community for that, to each his own. And I think that, I just looked up the word Ayurveda, and it says Ayurveda means the study of life. It takes a natural approach to all aspects of health and well-being. Ayurveda is based on the idea that each person has a certain life force, the doshas, and everything in the universe is connected, which it's a great approach to having a sacred relationship with what you consume,
Mhm.
because now you have integrity, you have awareness, and you also have intention when you consume foods. And it makes sense because geographically, somebody who lives in like a very cold environment won't require the same stuff as someone who lives in a Caribbean environment.
Yeah.
So this is actually a very honorable system. And now you called. So I have two questions for you. Does the environment determine your what they call dosha, which in other words would be minerals? Because we were saying that the elements are within us, right? We're consuming When we consume foods, we're consuming elements because they're made up of elements. And so, but there in this practice in Ayurveda for food is considered a word called doshas, right? And so your doshas, are your doshas predicated on your environment, or can two people be in two different atmospheres, like one in the freezing cold, one in the hot, and both be like hot?
Absolutely. So what they say is we're born with our prakriti, which is the constitution that you're born with, you know. So then as time goes by and with your environment, your culture, the food you eat, where you live, those they say that those doshas become vitiated, become um, out of balance. And so that's they call it Brikriti, which is your actual state right now. And so there is a study that you do, an analysis that you ask questions like, what did you eat when you were a child? Where did you live? And so you can kind of see where the person is at the moment, where if they want to go back to, feeling a certain time of their lives when they felt the best.
That part.
And so you can take all of that information and analyze what exactly this person would need, what foods would need. And then, like one of the beautiful things that I that touched me that my doctor told us is when once you do that, start learning a little bit, you can become your own doctor, because only I can tell you, listen, this is good for you. And so if you take it and you tell me, oh wow, it didn't sit well with me, so it might be, out of balance with what you need in that moment. So it's paying attention and staying connected. And that's the other, another part of what Ayurveda or any traditional medicine teaches, is to be in touch, to be aware of your body when you eat. How do you feel? And that's why, we have to take that time to eat in silence, or to sit down and eat and take that time to consume that food, because it's going to tell us, oh yes, making me feel good and nourished, or oh wow. And sometimes we don't notice it. I used to not notice that some of the foods were giving me gas and giving me pains or giving me a headache, and I was just like, oh, it's, a headache, and that's it. We don't pay attention to those things. But it could be the food, it could be something that you're cleaning with in your home, or it could be, you know, um,
The
some
lack of
vibration,
exposure.
that it's around us. And so, when I go away to Costa Rica or Mexico, or one of my beautiful journeys that I go on, and I come back to New York, I prepare myself now. In the beginning, it was, whoa, it was a journey to come back home, because I was, for like 2 days, I had a headache, and I used to say, but what is this? I feel great, but, and so when I came back home, I started, taking some more herbs, taking my motherwort, taking my lemon balm, and just prepare to arrive here, so I can feel good also when I got home. So the environment, yes, it has so much to do, and the awareness that we can have with our bodies, to be able to understand that and make that relationship and make that commitment with ourselves to take care of ourselves in that way.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that my sister just actually, yeah, she pointed out that she was here for the week, and then she went back home. She lives in Florida, in Orlando, and she's just like, I have to tell you, sis, the energy in New York is really thick. She's like, I feel like I can finally think, I can breathe, I can be. And she's sends me a picture of her feet kicked up in her backyard, And everybody who says that, like, who leaves New York, they're like, yo, New York is really thick there, But there's so many of us that we just won't live it. We can't. New York is our home.
Yeah.
I love that. Speaking of home, you mentioned how when you work with certain people, children, whoever, you want to know where they've lived.
Hmm.
And that just made me realize how much of psychology plays into what we consume, because our environment will dictate our personality and our habits. And that's why we have to be very mindful of those decisions, because eventually you become him, and then and like you said, you're fostering solutions, like you're eating intentionally, or you are unconsciously giving yourself gas, headaches, can't sleep, can't rest, have pain, knee pain, with what you're consuming. It's such a sacred ritual, you know, but we've adopted the fast life here in New York specifically. And so, I mean, it's so easy for me to have a pizza while I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the New York life, you know what I'm saying? So I'm fully plant based. I want to just add that I'm fully vegan. I've been plant based since 2016. I love it. My entire pregnancy was plant based. It has been a complete learning curve because what I noticed was, and going back to food being psychology and how you want to eat how you once felt, right? That's why people like to have steak because it makes them feel abundant. It makes them feel like they're at a restaurant, 5 star, you know? For me, I think I was strong during my pregnancy, not so strong. I was more chilled. But when I go around my family, I'm Dominican. And so the food is, you already know, it's just para meter o dedo. And so the potato salad, everything, rice, spaghetti. Oh my God, it's so much starch, it's so much everything, but it's so good. It's so delicious. And so I noticed that when I would come around family, that was a part of me that I missed because it brought such a connection, and it
Mm-hmm.
brings such a connection with family. It does this thing of inclusivity, and that's why food is so important. Like you said, when you're eating, to take the time, slow down, you know, just the same way as eating with somebody else is intimate, is great. It's a relationship that has to be developed with oneself.
Mm-hmm.
And um like you said, the body intuitively knows what works for it, and in so many ways, because during my pregnancy I realized the doctors could have told me whatever, and there was something inside of me that was bold enough to be like, I'm not doing that. Like, I didn't do prenatals. I'm not telling anybody here not to do that or to do that. It's up to you, but it just didn't resonate with me. you know I looked at the ingredients and I was like, I can eat this. So I started eating the food that was on there: kale, carrots, all these things. I'm like, oh, I can consume this. So that's what I did. But there's such a process of intimacy that has to be created with oneself, to trust yourself, to be able to get to that point to say, I don't need a doctor. I know what to eat to take care of myself. My husband just recently had a bulge in the back of his ear. And the way that man just put some herbs together and just took it down, it was like, I loved witnessing it. Because I'm like, I love that I'm surrounded by this, and going back home is important. Going back to your culture is important. Um, so, Durin, can you share a little bit about how you knew what to feed me, when you fed me, what you fed me? Um, because at some point, it just kept coming. It just, like, I was just like, here. I'm like, I just gave birth. I'm focusing on the baby. And you're right. We don't really look at ourselves. And that's why the community comes together to help the mama. Because our body is just wired to protect, defend, and this little human that just came out of us, this piece of us. And so at some point, it was just like, you just kept it coming. The tea was, it got to the point that if you weren't around, I started to panic. Hands down. I started to panic. I was like, where's Erica?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, share a little bit about that. I remember it was the tea, it was the soup, it was the little bolitas. They were delicious. It
Yeah.
was the rubs. It was everything that the body needs after pregnancy. And you know that they have resorts like that now. Not with Ayurvedic, but they have resorts like that where they're offering this. And they're saying, Europe does this, Japan does this, America, we're a little far behind. There's so many other places around the world that support the woman this way,
Yeah.
And so for an American woman, it was foreign, but also being Dominican, like my family wanting to be there and supporting me, I welcome this support. Except that this was different. It came with how do you say it? Ayurveda.
Ayurveda.
I'm like, Ayurveda.
Yeah, I actually have my colleague that it's actually they don't some of them don't pronounce the A, so everything is Ayurveda, Ayurveda, you know.
Oh,
And so, but I'm from Costa Rica. I have to say Ayurveda.
Ayurveda.
Um, yeah, so as we were talking before about our constitutions, right? So in the doshas, when you're pregnant, you are you have a little fire. You have you're like a little oven in there. So you're very pitta. You already have all that fire. So pitta, it's the two elements, fire and water, right? So you're all of that. So the foods that are going to nourish you the most are the foods that are not going to keep you too heating, keep you cool enough but not cold in your body that will increase your vata, your air and space. So and I always say, mamas know what to eat when they're pregnant, and that's why, I mean, it's good to start getting to know each other and all of that. And that's why I believe that the 2 weeks, the 3 weeks before, it's so important, the food, because that's when, as I was saying in our last conversation about the birth bubble, once you start going into that, and start putting your feet in and your hands, and so you start, all that. So all of that is going to turn into the baby. When the baby comes out, your oven turns off. So when yeah, so that's why I recommend, before your last 3 weeks, to not have, or maybe a month before, maybe on your 30 weeks, to not eat too much heating foods, like cinnamon, not too much cinnamon, not too much um what is it called, hibiscus, yeah, hibiscus flowers, right? Um, hay un nombre en español, but I can't remember it right now.
Flor de Jamaica.
Agua de Jamaica. Yeah, flor de Jamaica.
What about ginger?
Ginger, so it's for all the doshas. It's for every ginger is the magic root. Even turmeric, too much, it's a little heating and it's a little dry. But it's good because it's good for inflammation. So the right amount of turmeric, it's good. But ginger, I always, my daughter just called me the other day. She said, "Mom, I started with the heartburn, and so I told her, I said, well, I'm telling you, go to the supermarket and then get a lot of ginger, and it's gonna be your best friend for a little while." So you can shred it a little bit and put it with some lemon juice, and put a little bit of salt, and it's delicious before you eat and after you eat, or whenever you feel a little heartburn, you just take a few pieces, and or even just like take a little root in a little bag in your purse, and then if you start with heartburn, chew on it a little bit, and it's gonna really work. It really works. Or chewing on some, my famous fennel seeds, and you can, that also helps with heartburn, because those are cooling to your body. But then it also helps your digestion. It moves it, so it actually has the right amount of all the elements in it, the constitution of this herbs, to help your body reduce, that, calm that fire, or give help the digestion. So these fires that we have in our digestive system, it's not just one fire, and it helps move, whatever it is, whatever gas there, or whatever it's causing your heartburn. So yeah, that's one of the things that you can do before, and then you can start little by little, the cocoa, the chocolate, when you make your hot chocolate with, if you bring it from Honduras or somewhere that it's really good, and you make a little bit of that with cinnamon, and it helps your body start nourishing and feeling warm, a little warmer um, towards the birth, because we also want to prepare the digestive system really good. We want to make really, really nourishing foods. Um, And so we can start eliminating, but also nourishing at the same time. And so once your baby's born, then it comes the all that space where the baby was in there, all your organs are pushed everywhere where they needed to go and find the spot inside of you. And so, and that's the beauty of it. That's when your window opens, right? Your sacred window. And so all that air and space, all that space is gonna still be filled with all that air, and space. And so the more we take care of that, so then you become a vata person, so we need to take care of that vata, and then we also need to, and so how we take care of that air, of that space in you, with also having the understanding that we need to take care of the organs at the same time, your liver, how you're processing your food, how your enzymes are gonna work in your body. And so all that food is going to help your body start kind of like unwrinkling, is the way I can explain it right now, and going back into its place. But if there's too much air and too much space there, then the organs are not going to know what to do. So that's why it's kind of, that's why there is so much food involved, and so much, and it's the herbs too, and it's the way you cook it. And something that I love, when when you're cooking and when you're in your kitchen, you're putting your good intentions and your good thoughts in that food also, because that's part of that medicine too, right? But there's so the herbs and the food is there. They have their intelligence, which is one of the things that my doctor, I love her for that. That always told us, the food has its intelligence, and it's gonna go meet with the intelligence of your body, of your cells, and then that's where the magic happens, with that combination. So then we start giving you really warm foods and with the touch, and with the sesame oil that is going to penetrate through your 7 layers, and it's going to help your body stay warm enough. So the warmer your body is, covering your head, putting oil on your belly, and all your lymphatic system is going to help that air, instead of being, staying trapped in there, it's going to start coming out, through and through the foods too, because that's what I'm saying. It's a team of all the food, what it's going to do to your digestive system. The tea, the fennel tea with the fenugreek, that is going to help your digestive system keep moving. That ghee, the medicinal ghee that I make, which I also make it, the panchakola ghee, which is the first medicine you eat. Which is made with five herbs, five heating herbs. It's ginger, pipitli, which is the root of the pepper, turmeric, and then I believe it's pronounced trirak, something like that. It's an herb that I'm still, learning it. But so those five herbs as a team are going to go into your body and are going to help take or yeah, I guess you can say take that air out, right? Or heat up your body enough so you can your body can just start eliminating all of that space, all of that air, so your organs can go back to its place. And then with the belly binding that we do,
Right.
all of that, it's a combination of everything that is going to help you with with your milk, how your ducks, we don't want them to, you kind of started feeling a little bit of that, right? And then just with a touch, with the sesame oil, and then that's it. So it's just the consciousness, the awareness that you can have, just that little voice saying, "Oh, hey, do this or do that," and then But I always say, you did all the work, you did it all because you were so good with that. I guess just the food that you didn't feel like eating, but we were doing so many other things that it just complemented that. But you didn't eat. But the almond shake, you really like that. The papaya, for me, the papaya, from the moment that the mom, like to a week before to after, with the aloe vera, the papaya smoothie with the aloe vera and ginger and turmeric. and a little bit of lemon juice. That's like, for me, it's like a magic potion. And it's gonna help you go to the bathroom. I used to tell you, drink this little papaya drink, and then, next thing you know, you're eliminating, you're going to the bathroom, really good, and feeling good, and it's delicious anyways. So yeah, so all that food, the sweet rice, the sweet is so important. The good sweets, the panela, that or the jaggery they call it, and then even maple syrup, here in the United States in the North, that's the medicine from here, and I love it. I use it all the time too. But the panela has so much iron that is going to help your body heal with all that blood, through all that blood. And so the sweets are going to feed your brain directly, your brain. So it's going to help you stay alert. It's going to help you stay feeling good, and so you can take care of little baby over there. And so yeah, and it's so delicious. It's really like, some of the mamas tell me, oh my God, this is what I was craving, this is what
Yeah.
I'm craving, this is what I want to eat.
So I do want to acknowledge that, you said I received all the other, because it's not just the food, it's a system. It comes with physical touch, it comes with actual nutrition, it also comes with some type of verbal communication, a lot of nurturing and a lot of love. And so I want to acknowledge that, yes, there were some moments where I didn't consume the foods later on, at least not all of them, but it was because my body, I couldn't. I was very like hyper aware, hyper alert, and I think it was because I was just new to the breastfeeding journey, and that was shocking.
Yeah.
Remember, that was really shocking for me. And as a full testimony, when I was experiencing the clogged ducts, I remember when you came in, that was like, I think that was like my last massage. I remember you touched it just a little bit, and you touched it very gently, but you did so much work around my entire body that by the time we were done, I didn't feel the pain anymore.
Mhm.
All I had to do was release, and it was much better. And so those massages were definitely, I would say, my favorite, because I would feel more like, not energetic, but I don't know, I'd feel just physical.
Grounded.
Touch is important. Yeah, grounded.
Yeah.
It was so good. But even also, I felt that way when I ate the soup. When I ate the soup, I felt like I could sleep.
Mhm.
Because remember, I was barely sleeping. But when I ate that soup, I would feel like really nourished. I remember that time you brought the beets um, vegetable, and it was just so delicious, because it was so aligned with what I wanted and what I was looking for. And so when you brought it, I was like, oh wow, like, you know. But I what I want to say is that I feel like I understand now why you stay with the mamas for 40 days,
Mhm.
because there was something about you being there that made that whole experience one for me.
Right.
The whole thing, you just kind of brought it all together, like your physical presence,
Mhm.
your how you communicated, your gentleness, like all of that was just so valuable. And I understand why, you stay with the mamas for 40 days, where you and then when you stay with them for 40 days, that means that you're like, they're physically with them, like you physically stay with them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I think the first one that I'm gonna do physically for 40 days right now, it's gonna be Natalia, my daughter. So what I have done is, we do up to 10 days where I had stayed physically with the mama. Sometimes maybe I'll come home, or the weekend I leave everything prepared, everything ready for them, and kind of just give them a little space too, and give myself a little outing. Um, and it just, now that I'm getting a little bit more used to of that, going in and out of that bubble, for me in the beginning was a little bit shocking, because I'm in there with the mama taking care of her, and then going out and bringing, and again, that vibration for me is so important to keep and to save from the little bit before our interaction to after, until you close those 40 days. It's kind of like walking on water. Everything, you will feel everything. everything. The baby feels everything. So I'm very conscious now of that. But because I'm kind of getting used to it, and sometimes I miss being home for a day or something, so I come back home. But so just that instructions and that presence, like you say, it just helps. And now, she's trusting, I guess, what we're giving her. Any care, birth worker, that stays, now they trust you. Now you trusted me, and now we're working together, and it's like that. That's what that window, it's open, that sacred window. But even if I'm not there in person, I stayed for 10 days, and then I would come back either 2 times a week, and we'll do everything the same, um, until the 42 days, or one day a week. But yeah, so it is important to just keep that. And then I would leave a list of everything that has to get done for the mama. If the mama has somebody taking care of her, even teaching. I love when people want to learn how to wrap the mama every day, even if it's not perfect. Just that care of just keeping everything together, and the consistency that you give to the body, that okay, we're rocking you back down to earth, in that way. So I do believe, this, it's a practice, and I know, now in today's day, it's not as easy as if we all live together, like in one big village, and that's probably a dream for some, right? But just that communication and that understanding of, like, I would ask you, did you drink your tea? Or, I would tell you, I'm gonna be calling you, I'm gonna be asking you, did you eat
Those
your
are,
bonitas?
those are so good.
Because all of the food, it has some type of herb, like the dashmol, which is it's 10 roots herbs that are gonna help your hormones, your body, your to keep moving, to keep going, or like the ashwagandha, shatavari, um, all of those are going to help you, and so we put all of that, that's the Ayurvedic kind of protocol for postpartum, which is all those herbs that are going to help you with anything and everything that you need to, like, put yourself back together in a really beautiful and new way, which is what the opportunity that you have as a new mom. You're rebirthing yourself, right? And then you have those 42 days, they say, are to how you're going to take care of yourself. Those 42 days, or those 40 days, are going to be the next 42 years of your life and your baby's life as well.
That's deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can see that. You see it. You see how, the woman that has to rush and go back to work, or the woman who has to like endure any like hardship. Like you see it. It reflects on there for that amount of time. And it actually gives you compassion now towards the mamas. There's a lot of people who are resentful towards their mothers, but who took care of her when she was giving birth to you? Forget about like, your children owe you their life. Yes and no, but think about who was nourishing her when she had to nourish you. And that's hard. Like breastfeeding, I tell my husband all the time, esto es para los ricos. Like breastfeeding is really for people who have a complete peace of mind, who are removed from like the chaos of the city, and if you are in the city, you have like very, very little interaction with the world, because this is very sacred, you know? You can't get stressed. You have to consume the proper herbs. It's true. You have to eat the right foods.
Mhm.
When I miss a day of protein, I see it in my milk
Mhm.
immediately. And so I second what you're saying, especially from my own personal experience, and eating that way with that intention. I mean, I've also, have my journey with food, being plant based, being a nutritionist, and all of those things. I've witnessed the power of herbs, and not only the flavor that it gives to food, but also how it's an intentional way of consuming, nature's medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and if because people could be like, oh, Ayurveda, that's religious, this and that. It's all God. It's all the Most High. At the end of the day, nature provides. It was our intended medicine cabinet given to us by God. You know, and that's not to go against any other practice. Chinese medicine has its own incredible healing modalities. Western medicine, to a certain extent, it provides some solutions. Um, you know, there's just so many traditions, and we want to call them ancient, but they're being practiced today, all around the world. We're in New York, in America. Maybe we're just a little far removed because our primary solution for health is a Western system. You know, but ideally, yeah, food is your medicine, and a lot of us know that. Yesterday, I was in a meeting with a lady who's a physical therapist, and and she owns like a school also. And the demographic of kids that she has, they don't even know what a tomato is.
Mm.
They know it from a bottle of ketchup. They don't know what it physically looks like. So taking people from or encouraging people like that is huge. It's, like I said, it's activating their humanness if it's possible, and that's how we're eating. We're eating to be alive, to be humans. And that's not to say that what people are doing is wrong, but it's just a more it's an awareness to have so that you can find solutions that help you other than having to go to a doctor every time and getting medications that we call medicine. you know Taking a litany of pharmaceutical drugs and calling it medication. It's There's something wrong there, something tricking the mind there. So like your vitamins, your minerals, that's your real medication. Your sunlight, your air, that's your real medication. Going for a walk, that's your real medication. It's not just consuming. I'm not telling you to stop consuming your Western practices, but incorporate
Yeah.
nature, you
Yeah.
know? Um, yeah, I remember feeling my organs going back into place.
Hmm.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That was really, really super weird. Like literally feeling it all come down to the point that I was like, is there another baby in there?
Hmm.
And I would ask people like, did you feel your organs? And they were like, no. I'm like, am I the only one? But yeah, literally, like I felt my organs going back into. Maybe I felt it much faster than most people because of what I was consuming.
Hmm. Hmm.
Perhaps that could have been the thing. But everybody asked me like, you lost weight so quickly, and I'm like, it's the food.
Hmm.
It's the food. It's the food that you eat, the water you drink, the teas that you brew. Like it's all of that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming into my life that way because I wasn't expecting all of that.
Yeah, and you're an amazing cook too. I was actually, like that's what my husband says, Dennis says all the time. Oh my God, she's an amazing cook. And now you're cooking for her. That's pretty awesome.
Oh my gosh,
But
that
yeah,
was an honor. I'm looking forward to our collaboration because it's gonna be incredible. Like we're gonna eat it up,
yeah,
literally.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is amazing already because, like I always say, it's medicine for me too, and it's so beautiful for me to see it, to really um, see the results of what this medicines do, so you allowing that in your body, in your space, and trusting the medicine, because I've seen it in myself, and that's why I believe so much in it, and I've embodied it so much that that's how much I believe in it, but also to be able to share it with someone and to see it, wow, it's amazing. It's a beautiful medicine too.
It's like your testimony, yeah, for sure, because it's validating what you're doing when in a world that is it's upside down, inside out, and backwards. What you're doing is considered possibly taboo in some places.
Right.
I'm honored to have been and be of, and that's why I'm here today. Like from realizing that the birth industry is also a battlefield, like the food industry.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why would I get put in this situation when I see things a certain way?
Hmm.
So to expose it and bring solutions is my intention, especially if it behooved me. For
Yeah.
example, our relationship, like going into this Ayurvedic in this way of service to me, was incredible. Like it was everything I needed. And so it's an honor for me to be a testimony to you because you're doing something I would call it God's work, you know, and actually the way you do it, that you're so dedicated, you're so committed, you know, and you're willing to go above and beyond for your clients. It's rare, you know. So I hope that other people who see this or other people looking for something like this, and like I said, I wish I would have. I'm grateful for my journey, but I wish I would have had you at 0 months, you know,
Mm.
and I just found out because I can only imagine what my journey would have been like. I mean, my consumption with food was pretty great, but it wasn't intentional like how I would have been guided if I would have had you. And I had a nutritionist because my insurance covered it. So
Yeah.
I hope that if whoever's looking for this type of information, that they find it and that they can have access to what you're providing for sure, because it's so rare.
Yeah, thank you. I do respect all the other traditions and admire and also want to learn, you know, from all of this. And I just want to mention really quickly that Ayurveda for me has become, um, and I'm not going to say just because, you know, it's an amazing way of life. It's I call it a blueprint. I call it kind of like just something that helped me come to my herbs, like el culantro de coyote. You know, they don't have it over there, but now I know it has iron, and I know that putting it in these foods, and so it was kind of just a channel, a connection to come back to what we can do for ourselves and our bodies and how we can feel the vibration of the food and all of this, you know, consciousness of that goes around how we take care of ourselves. So yeah,
I love that. I love that we're ending on this note. The medicine is in your culture.
yeah,
The medicine is in your culture. Identify with your culture, and you will find the medicine.
yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
And I love that. So that's it for tonight. I think we covered everything. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Um, we get to meet again next Tuesday. The reason why I said Wednesday is because tomorrow is the Bronx Vegan Bazaar. If you're in the Bronx, or if you're not in the Bronx, pull up. Come taste these amazing vendors. It's all vegan food. We have desserts, we have chai tea, we have organic juices, we have produce giveaways, and then we have three wonderful chefs, one Puerto Rican and black cuisine, all vegan. Then we also have a Jamaican cuisine, and then we have like an American style cuisine. Um, and desserts. So if you're in the area, want to come by, this is a an event that's made plant-based foods accessible in the Bronx, and they're excellent. Um,
Beautiful.
so yeah, the Bronx Vegan Bazaar is tomorrow. We're back on next Tuesday, where we touch base on the closing of the bones ceremony and how ancestral wisdom is so present today in our practices with giving birth and how it's coming back. Is what I want to say. So I'm excited to talk with you again next week. Um, and thank you for taking on this journey with me. I'm excited for what it's going to do for people.
Awesome. Good night.
Good night, baby. Take care.